everybody. We want to welcome you back to the Gabe
and Shey
Podcast.
No, it's so cheesy. So cheesy. Actually, just roll with it. We're the Gabe and Shey Show, and I'm Gabe.
Oh, and I'm Shey.
In case you didn't know, this is our third podcast.
Our third week. Our third episode.
Third podcast. Third episode. Thank you.
It's our first podcast.
It's our first podcast. See, correction is needed. I don't know if you guys know this, but it is. It's just occasionally needed.
What would you do without me?
I would be dumb, really dumb. Anyways, speaking of what would I do without you, today's podcast is about gratitude, and specifically gratitude and how that's been used to navigate life's hardships. And so we've got a specific hardship in our lives that's groundbreaking, heartbreaking, just absolutely tragic. And we're not really gonna dive deep into that in this episode. We are gonna dive deep into gratitude because really it was the forefront of getting into this. And right now I'm just gonna start off. I'm just gonna earn some points here real quick. One of the number one things I'm the most grateful for is you, because you're so beautiful. I just love you so much.
Aww. Thank you, baby.
I'll say the same.
I feel the same. But I do feel the same. Honestly, yes. My life would not be anywhere close to where it is right now if it weren't for you.
I could not imagine our lives should the same. Oh,
yeah.
I don't even want to go there.
Exactly.
But using gratitude, I think one of the biggest things that I want to bring up right away is, I want to talk about my drug addiction, because it was a pivotal time in my life. I lost 8 years of my life to prescription medication after I broke my back. And I had, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dive in a little bit to the context of this, because I want people to understand some of the things that I had to go through being addicted to this stuff. And for those of you that are out there right now, and if you feel like you might have a problem with this stuff, there's helplines out there that you can contact. Mm-hmm. Truthfully, it wasn't a helpline that saved me, and I'm gonna talk about that. But so I was addicted to OxyContin, okay, which is the behemoth of Vicodin. All right, so Vicodin was really bad. And OxyContin was the long-lasting Vicodin. Mm-hmm. And I was taking at that time 280 milligram OxyContin at a time. Sometimes I would take a half a pill more. I mean, it just really depended on how I was feeling. This is all after my back surgery. So in 2003, by the way, I used to be a roofer, okay? That was my thing. I used to be a roofer. Don't let the intellect fool you. I could lay some square, okay? And it was something that I used to do, and I'm grateful for it today because of the work ethic it built into me. That work ethic has transferred into my daily life today, into my self-leadership, into all of these things that I'm grateful for today. Mm-hmm. But when I broke my back, I'd fallen off of 5 roofs in my life. And when I actually broke my back, I wasn't...
Maybe you shouldn't have been a roofer?
See, you might be right. You might be right. What did it though with the back thing? It wasn't me falling off a roof. You'd think that would probably be it, but it wasn't. I tried to lift a 400-pound or more piece of rubber on my shoulder up 2 steps on a ladder. That's it. That's all I had to do. It took 2 people to put it on my shoulder. Once it was there, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. And I took 2 steps up a ladder and my back cracked. And I ended up having 2 herniated discs down at the very bottom. They had big old holes in them. I suffered one of the worst experiments that they ever do on a work comp claim, which is called a discogram. It was the most painful thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life physically. It was unbelievable. And it's Neanderthal. It's Neanderthal medicine. They know it works if you're in pain. So look it up. It's unbelievable. If they still do it today, then we are not as technologically savvy as we thought we were. Anyways, it led to me taking Vicodin for my pain. That transpired into, it was never good enough. It was never good enough. I need more. I need more. I need more. I need more. I ended up lying to people I loved. I ended up stealing from people that I loved. I cheated with, well, I guess I'd be just lying. I didn't cheat on my wife. I never did that. But on I cheated the doctor out of medicine. And I was, so I don't have a lot of memory from this time because it was really that bad. And I remember.
On a quick side note.
Yeah, please.
I was at the other end of that whole thing happening because Oxy had just hit the market harder all over the country. Yeah. And the job that I had at the time, we actually helped all of those pain clinics advertise.
Isn't that interesting?
And it became such an epidemic that they eventually started closing down all of those clinics. I mean, it took years.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is it got so bad that in order to get off of the medicine, what we thought to get off the medicine, we ended up actually having to go to the methadone clinic, which is the one here in Des Moines. I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been there for so many years. But I had to go to the methadone clinic, and they would give us liquid methadone in pill bottles. It was unbelievable. And I would have to take that to help subdue the withdrawal symptoms that I was going through from not taking the OxyContin that I was previously taking. Because quite frankly, the doctor said, we're not giving you any more. You've been abusing it and we're done. You're on your own. I mean, and listen, I don't blame the doctor for that, even though that could have been murder in some people's eyes. I don't blame the doctor for that. I really did abuse the system. I lied to so many people. And I know it wasn't me that was lying back then. I get that today, but it was a part of me was. Anyways, when I switched to methadone, I realized that life was getting worse and worse. I became addicted to methadone. And you know what they don't tell you is that methadone is just as addictive as OxyContin is. It's just in a more secure model of how they deliver it to you. And so when I took that, it got bad. It got out of hand. I ended up going through weeks of withdrawals because I would take it too fast. And finally, one day on my way to work, I'd been off of it for no, I wasn't. I was on my last day of methadone. I'd taken some, so I had some for the day, but I knew I was going to be out. I knew I was going to have to be out for like 2 weeks. And I was in absolute emotional pain. I knew that I needed to get off this stuff. I was a father to my 5 kids on this stuff in their early lives. And many of the reasons why we're dealing with some issues with the kids today, not all of them, but a couple of them today, is because of that. And when I was driving to work, I haven't talked about this in a minute. Mm-hmm. When I was driving to work, I was this close to driving my van. It was a minivan because I was a dad of a bunch of kids, and I was this close. I was alone, and I was this close to driving my minivan right off a bridge into the Des Moines River. And it was, I was so close that I was crying hysterically while I crossed that bridge. And, maybe I would have never done it. Maybe I would have done it. Really, none of it matters, because it was that moment that I realized that if I'm even considering something like that to the level that I was, it had to change. Tony Robbins, if you guys know who that is, Tony Robbins talks about, and not just him, but many other people, people don't change until they get to the lowest level that they possibly can get to, when change is a must.
People don't change until not changing is more painful than changing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, nailed it. And it needs to be a must.
Yeah.
It can't be a should. I should change. I should change. I should change. We have to help develop it from a should to a must. And when you change it to a must, everything else changes. That day, I quit my job. I called up my parents and I said, I need to come stay with you for
however long it takes.
However long it takes. Mm-hmm. And I did. And I went and I stayed with them. And I was awake for 15 days. That is no exaggeration. I literally was awake for 15 days. If I passed out at any time, it was for 30-minute increments, if that. And it was rare. I remember getting upset with the dog. The dog would come lay next to me and pass right out in an instant. And I'd be like, you mother. It just really, it just hurt me because I couldn't go to sleep. That was unbelievable. And today, it's such a miraculous, complete change. I was so grateful for that moment on the bridge. I was so grateful for deciding to go and try to get methadone instead of OxyContin, because that helped get me to the horrible place faster in those moments. And when I look back on it today, I'm able to take that and make it a part of who I am today. And, I don't really talk or do any deep talks with people like this. And quite frankly, I wanted to kind of keep that hidden. I tell people that I was addicted to drugs, but never got into details about it. Mm. This is probably the most detailed I've been in. I can't remember when.
In public.
Yep. Yeah. Anyways, but that cascaded, so those types of things, they tend to have a domino effect, right? That's not just going to be the only thing. It's like a keystone change, right? It's the one change that changes everything else. Mm-hmm. And that was one of them. I've had a few of those in my life. That was one of those major changes that started to change anything. When I started to become clear-headed, because that was one of the first things I experienced was clear-headedness, I started to see things with a different perception. And when I did that, that's when I realized that I was hurting my wife at that time, and I was letting her hurt me. And so I decided that I needed to get out of that. And so I did. And that's, again, it just goes back to, and we've had more strife since then, so much more strife since then. But it's each one of these challenges has built us and kept building us and kept building us. And I'm so grateful for that. And I don't want to dominate this whole conversation with you. So
Too late.
Sorry about that. Stop. But yeah, what about you? That was one of the big ones for me. And thank you all for letting me share that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That's huge. That's I can't even imagine, honestly. I mean, I dabbled in recreational usage of things, and I never felt that I was addicted per se. Probably excessive overuse of recreational, but yeah, it's not many people that can say that they came out the other side of that. That the drugs did not get the best of them.
I realized that my situation is rare or unique, and but it also, people don't recognize the effort that went into this kind of stuff. And so we're going to be talking about the effort here, because I might be successful today, but they call that a 20-year overnight success. Is what I am. I'm a 20-year overnight success. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, I had to learn the hard way, and then I learned the purposeful way. Mm-hmm. But all of it started with that. So I'm really grateful for that. What about you? What do you got that something?
Gosh, I don't have anything that comes even close to that.
Doesn't need to be.
We've got some prompts down here that kind of help us to get through these episodes with staying on track with our thoughts. And so I had jotted down some thoughts to answer that, but I may have taken this a little bit in a different direction than
Nobody's going to, no judgment here. This is a no judgment zone.
Oh, no, of course. I just didn't want to like derail like this episode, right?
No,
so
go for it.
Really where my gratitude has come from the most is the loved ones around me that show me their love and support, their encouragement. I've got a lot of siblings and some of us are closer than others. But then I've also got a couple of lifelong friends. We've been friends since we were babies, literal babies. And yes, our parents, were neighbors before we were even born. And these people are in my life. We love and support each other, and we may not talk every day or all the time. But just having that type of support system, even though it's very small, it is so strong for me. And I regularly use the people around me, including you, as a gauge for myself, not negatively comparing, but like just kind of like gauging, is my head on straight? Am I seeing with the right eyes? Am I being grateful for what I've got around me? That kind of stuff. So,
you're talking about other people, and it's one of the things I wrote down myself. And nothing. So I used to, you can tease me on this. I used to have a pretty big ego. Okay. I say used to because I've got a different perception of the ego now, and I look at it very differently, and I am changed in that respect. But it used to be pretty bad, and I used to think that I was king shit. I used to think that all of these changes in my life happened because of my die-hard persistence, my die-hard resilience, this ultimate discipline that only came from me.
Yep.
And the fact of the matter is that in every single traumatic change of my life, there has always been someone else there that has supported me in some capacity, in some way, some more than others. And in my greater learning these days, we get to learn that nothing big happens alone. Mm-hmm. Nothing big happens alone. And for anybody to say any differently, it's their ego talking to you, not them. And maybe get wise enough to know the difference. Yep.
No matter how successful somebody is, they had somebody helping them along the way, whether it was an educator or a family member or the neighbor that, whatever drove them to be better, keeping up with the Joneses, whatever. Somebody is always helping you in some way.
And that's, when you're attached to your ego, like I was, that's a hard pill to swallow. Mm. It really is, because I want to use the credit that I give myself as a motivating factor. So if I give myself that credit and say, man, I'm badass, I really can do these things. I might not be necessarily wrong that I can really do these things, but I'm not giving credit to the people really the people that were in my life at that time that made it so that I could change.
Yep.
That developed an environment for me that I could change, an atmosphere where change was invited.
Yep.
That is super powerful. So no, you were on point. See, I told you she'd be on point, right? I told you you literally nailed it. People is one of my things. And today I think you and me, I don't use the family support system really that much. I don't really have a big old why for that. But I very much respect what it does for you. If anything, it helps her put up with me.
No, you are. I love you.
Great. See, great. Yeah, great. No, but I think that's powerful. What a great example. Great to bring that up.
Thank you.
Is there another thing? Or is that it?
What's the question? People. Yeah, sorry.
So, hey, Shey, what are you grateful for?
Well, so here's the thing, right? So as a child, my mom used to nickname me Sunshine because she said,
Miss Sunshine.
Not only did I have the strawberry blonde hair, it's a lot darker now, but she said I was always smiling. I was always laughing. I was always running around, bouncing off the walls. I was, just always finding ways to love life as a child, right? I was very adventurous. I was very creative. I had a lot of, imagination. And as I got older, I feel like I really held on to that. Now my mom occasionally teases me and calls me a Pollyanna, which is somebody who's naively happy. And I like to think of it more like I'm not being naive. I mean, I am kind of in a bubble sometimes in my own little world. But I recognize that there's negativity in the world. I recognize that there's challenge in the world. I recognize that crappy things happen to people all the time, including me, right? But it's not about the crappy thing that's happening. It's how am I going to handle that crappy thing?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just how are we using that? Is it going to be my roadblock that prevents me from getting through the rest of my day? Or am I going to use it as an opportunity to learn and grow in some way? And I fail all the time.
No, you don't.
There are roadblocks in my life.
No, I don't have a list on my phone of all the times you failed.
But stop it. But I feel like
She knows I'm a tracker too, right? So it's like, it could be true.
Oh yeah.
But it's not true.
No, I feel like I've always held on to that inner gratefulness. I had a group of friends way back when. I think I was working like 3 jobs. I was trying to save up money to go traveling, and I had just gotten off of a really long day. I was so tired, but I was, early 20s and wanted to go out drinking with my friends. And I met up with them at the pool hall and, billiards pool. And I was so tired. And my one friend says, "Hey, how was your day?" And I said, "Perfect." And they were like, "Wait, why? What? Why was it perfect? What happened?" And I said, "It's not that anything happened. It's just that it was a great day. There was nothing that I wasn't able to overcome today, basically." And I'll never forget their reaction. They were just jaw on the floor, like, "How can you say it was a perfect day if you didn't have some amazing thing happen to you?" It's because when you're grateful, you don't have to have something amazing to be grateful.
Well, we're going to dive into that because that actually takes me to the next thing because you don't need something to happen to be grateful. That's a powerful statement. So most people in the world are reactive. Reactive means that when something happens, they react emotionally in some capacity, which then generates a thought, which may generate a new emotion, which then becomes this ridiculous feedback loop, right? And everybody gets stuck. And when you've got, they call it an attitude of gratitude. Okay. So when you got an attitude of gratitude, right?
Yeah.
Then what you tend to do is you tend to perceive the good that comes out of all things, and not the good, but let's change the word good, the valuable that comes out of all things. Okay. The value that comes out of all things, or the usefulness that comes out of the functionality that comes out of all things. Because there is something there, the opportunity that comes out of all things.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be the good. Honestly, it's the mindset that is less emotional mature. And if you listen to our first episode, we talked about emotional maturity. It's the mindset that's less emotional mature that says, you just see the good in everything. No. We see the value in everything because everything has value, including the worst things in your life. If yesterday, man, there's people that get cut off on the road. They get cut off on the road and they go absolutely bananas. Now listen, I don't blame these people. All right. They're not making a conscious choice. It's a reaction. All right. When you understand what reaction is not a conscious choice. It's a habitual conditioned choice.
Yep.
Okay.
Comes from years of wiring.
Absolutely. Yep. Years of allowing yourself to be wired too, right? So that's where we need to take responsibility, is that we allowed ourselves to become wired from these conditions. And maybe you didn't know any better. You don't know what you don't know. And so as you're going through life, if you want to be a little less road ragey, okay, then you might want to consider gratitude as a great starting point.
Yes.
A great starting point. And just a little bit of advice here for anybody that wants to be better with gratitude. I'm just going to let you know what I did. And then in our next episode, I'm going to share with you how gratitude, honestly, I think it saved my life. I know it saved my life, but maybe our life. And so I've got a morning routine that I do every day. And the morning routine consists of a bunch of things. And we've got another episode that we'll talk about the morning routine. But in this one, I just want to talk about my journaling, right? And so I do journaling and I talk about, just a couple of the highlights from the day before that I want to learn. And so I'm always looking for something to learn from. I'm always looking to sponge something out of everything. I want to find value in everything. And so when I got that journal, at the very end of every one of my journals is an empty bullet ready for a bullet point list. It's just an empty bullet. It's just a vacuum of a bullet just waiting for me to put something in there. Yeah. And
like you purposely do one little empty dot.
Yeah, it's a template. I've created a template and I put one empty dot to be like, you've got to put something in here. No matter what, you have to put
Wait, you mean you do that before you finish the journal? Like when you get the journal, you open it up and on the very last page you do?
Let me explain.
Oh, yes, please.
So I open this book, okay? And I open the journal. It's a digital journal on my phone. Oh. And then I've got Gabe's morning, and I just click that, and it pops up the template that I've created for my morning. It says,
your habit stack is what you're talking about.
Not my habit stack. No, my journal, my absolute journal. I'd show you if I.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
I'm new here.
So it says at the very top is the title. I want to title every day. I learned that from my son. What a great thing, Elijah. Thank you. I title every day, and then I write a little bit about the day. And then at the bottom, it says, what are you grateful for? It's just a question. And then one empty bullet. That's it. I have to put something there. I never put just one thing. I always put at least 3 things, if not more. And it could be the dumbest things. I'm grateful that my pillow didn't throw my neck out last night.
Right.
I'm grateful that I actually got up today. Although that's not really an issue anymore, but that used to be an issue. And it doesn't matter how you start. You just need to make it repetitive. You need to be consistent, because if you're consistent, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start to rewire your perception, and your brain will start to look for things to be grateful for, including into the things that normally piss you off.
I'll tell you what, one of the things that you reminded me of years ago or taught me, and maybe I read it in one of the books too, but you saying it to me really stuck with me. Changing I have to I get to. So one of my grateful moments every day is I get to go to the gym. And, back in the day when I was running and people say, why do you run? Because I can, because I get to, because I have a body that can move in a way that one day it might not. And God forbid I be laid up in a bed for any reason whatsoever for a duration, a period of time. I would be so sad and hating myself for not having taken advantage of that. So one of my gratefuls every day is the fact that I get to. Get to go move.
That's a good one. The unfortunate thing is that the get to thing kind of has become cliche a little bit.
Well, not for me.
I know, right? It's like, oh, you get to run, you just knock yourself out. Okay. Yeah right.
I don't run anymore, by the way.
and the truth is that I also had that mindset too. It's like, oh, you run, more power to you.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you. Right. You get to. Yeah. Why don't you tell me more? And remember, by the way, you're not telling people this. So you're not being pretentious. You're not walking up to people and be like, I get to blah, blah, blah. I get to blah, blah, blah. This is your internal dialogue. This is what you're saying to yourself every day to help you cope with all of the hard things in life. Mm-hmm. We have got a saying in our family that says, we don't operate in hard mode, or no, nothing is hard when you live in hard mode. Yep. Nothing is hard when you live in hard mode. Our family does things that most people don't do. We do it on a daily basis, and it's easy for us. And it's not easy for us because we're superheroes. It's easy for us because we've created the habits that help support it.
That's right.
A gratitude habit is probably one of the most beneficial habits I've ever created in my life. Ever. It is a game changer for me. And so that brings us to the end of this episode. Next episode, we're going to be talking about the accident. And for those that you know us, you kind of have an idea what's coming up. We're going to get a little bit more detailed right now. But we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about gratitude and how that played such a crucial role in that whole event. And what that, and we're also going to talk about how it ties to our marriage, our business, and all of those things. Because look, challenge is going to happen whether you like it or not. Suffering is going to happen whether you like it or not. It's about how you perceive it. It's about how you tolerate it. It's about what you let in that is going to change the world for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. All right. So,
was I supposed to say
no
something
more.
there?
Say no more. Yeah. It's like, I just made her speechless. She's like, yeah.
Well, I had a thought that I was debating on whether to share or how it would quite fit in, but it keeps popping into my head. And, you were talking about,
we gotta go fast.
Okay.
Go for it.
Never mind.
No, you got to say it now.
Well, then don't say that.
Sorry.
Somebody had said to me once, the power of positive thinking is BS. Bad things happen all the time. And it's not that the power of positive thinking means that nothing bad is going to happen to you. It just means that you're going to interpret it and handle it differently than maybe somebody else would. And so, our next episode, we're going to dive into things. And so the power of positive thinking didn't save us from tragedy.
No, it did not.
But it absolutely helped with the way that we handled it.
Yeah. And it also helped us become a pillar for our family, our community, and, the support that they gave us, we dished right back out due to our mindsets and our character. So looking forward to talking about that. And the accident was with our 3 boys, youngest. And we'll talk about that here next week. Thank you guys for joining us. This has been Gabe and Shey. If you like what you see, please subscribe. We would love to, that kind of helps motivate, I guess. I guess we don't really care if you subscribe, but subscribe because that's just the way you're going to get notifications. And we truly do appreciate you listening. All right. Take care.
Yep. Thank you.